to the place, just like what happens to you in a diet. In your refrigerator, while you're on a diet, you have a half a gallon of Rocky Road ice cream. And you're having a hard time with this diet. You need a little comfort. Okay? So you think to yourself, just one spoonful won't hurt my diet. So you go to the drawer and look for the largest spoon you can find. You take a scoop of ice cream and you really enjoy it. And then you say this to yourself, I've already broken the diet. What the heck? I might as well enjoy the whole thing. And that's when you get in trouble here, because you say, I'm in trouble if I tell somebody how much that person means to me, and I'm in trouble if I stop it. So it becomes a place where it's no return. You can't get back. You have to run like crazy to get out of this situation. Just run like crazy. Now, we're going to go through the dangerous partner profile. You can see the characteristic. I'm not going to say a word about it. It's all in the book. We have a lot of fun. We talked about the overclaim, okay? I want to get to what triggers this inside of you. And basically what it is unusual stress, sustained and unusual stress. When I work with a couple trying to recover from adultery, I try to identify when the feeling started to the very day, go back 2 years, and look for sustained and unusual stress. Not stress from babies, not stress from just living. We had 4 kids. I know what stress is, okay? We've been to graduate school 3 times in our life. So I understand all that. But I'm talking about really difficult stuff like legal issues that you have no recourse with, no history with, you don't have to respond to, career-threatening things where your skill set's no longer needed, you're downsizing, you've got to find a job, you're out of the army, you're just really difficult, financial reversals, upside down in a house maybe, bankruptcy, all kinds of credit card debt, health issues, new diagnoses, medications, life changes as a result, relationships, grandma's moving in, you've got a rebellious teenager, all those kind of sustained and unusual stresses. And when you get those, basically what happens is you say to yourself, I can't take this anymore. And who do you turn to? You and your spouse will only go so long in this situation. And then one of you will go to this outside network that you have cultivated. Not with any intentionality, not with any evil intent at all, but you will go to that for the comfort that you need as you really get yourself wound up in this. Now, my wife and I, we went through some interesting things. Before she comes up and shares one quick story with you, I want to tell you this. Every young woman in here, almost every one of you, will go through the most dangerous time in America for adultery. Over 50% of all American adulteries take place in a 1-2 year period. The 9 months of pregnancy and the first year of delivery. And we only found out why 5 years ago. And that is this. When a young mom is nursing a baby, she has spiked levels of oxytocin. Oxytocin is that great bonding hormone. It's what makes you and reduces you to a thinking process where you say, well, I can have a second kid. If no oxytocin, there'll be no second bonus, okay? So the point is, you feel all's well, really, with the world. You feel great about it. Ecstasy's in that same family of drugs. Husbands, on the other hand, only have spiked elevations of oxytocin when they have sex with somebody who loves them. Sexual intercourse. They don't have the same spikes with masturbation. They don't have the same spikes with prostitutes, but with the spouse. So you can see what happens oftentimes right around pregnancy. The wife is very content, and the husband is feeling very isolated and alone. Okay. Now, with that idea, I'm going to introduce Ryan to you. Ryan's going to come talk to you about what we went through one time and what she did about it. So come on up.
Just before she comes up, I forgot to pass the offering and receive the offering this morning, so I'm just going to pass these around and we'll collect and do that then. But here's.
Oh, this is great. No, I know I have a short time. Well, Dave and I, believe it or not, are very different. In fact, complete opposites. Of course, you know, opposites attract, right? We do this. The things that we see in them, we admire. And so we get infatuated with them and in love, and we marry them. And then after we're married, those same things irritate us, you know? Yeah. And there I see, you can Well, it certainly happened in our marriage. And we had a great, 3 or 4 years. And it happened when our first child was born, Gina. And she was such a challenge. I mean, she did not sleep, and some of you maybe had one of these. She didn't sleep through the night till she was 2.5 years old. And actually, I ended up putting her in a Montessori school, and that's the only way she could finally get tired. I mean, we tried everything. She wouldn't sleep, just wouldn't sleep. And, of course, I needed lots of sleep. But anyway, back to Dave and I. He's a morning person. I'm a night person, you know? He's a Mr. Neat and Clean person. I'm a, hey, what the heck? Let's just sit and talk and have fun, you know? And yeah, you know. and then he's, you know, he says, do not, you know, get your work done first and then play. And my idea is, put a little play in the work and it's so much more fun, right? So you can see we had a hard time. In fact, we really had a difficult time those couple of years. And so bad that we couldn't even sit down and talk together. You know, it's hard when I think about it now, but I couldn't sit down and tell him how I felt. So what I do is write these long letters and tell him all these things that I wish were happening that weren't happening. You know, why didn't you help more around the house? Why didn't you help with the baby? You know, you're gone too much at the church. Why didn't you come and, you know, we need to spend more time together. Why don't we ever date anymore? Why don't we ever talk? You know, on and on and on. You know, I don't really know what I said, but I was very unhappy and miserable. And so was Dave. We just were not connecting. We did not have that relationship. And God was so good because right then I went to a workshop and a lady shared about giving up your expectations. And I realized there that I was expecting all this stuff. You know, we get this Cinderella idea that our Prince Charming is going to come in his white horse and take us out into happily ever after, right? But it's not reality, is it? And so we have all these expectations. And what I had to do was to give those to the Lord. And that's exactly what I did. I wrote each one down. I had a really long list. And I went through each one of them, and I gave it to the Lord. I said, Lord, take this. And as I gave those to the Lord, then I started to focus on his positive attributes. And then I started to notice, oh my goodness, he just took the baby for a walk. Oh my goodness, he just did the dishes. Oh, wow. And you know what? I started to tell him how much I appreciated that. I started to notice those things because, you know, we're not expecting them and they happen. That's when we really appreciate it. But when we expect it, well, what's a big deal? You should be doing that, you know? But it just changed my whole attitude about it. And we just started getting along better. And, oh, ladies, I want to tell you, men want to hear about how you think they look and how you think they act and that they're sexy and appealing to you. And, of course, I wanted Dave to say those wonderful things to me about how wonderful I looked, you know, but it never happened unless I'd go like, what do you think, honey? You know, standing in front of him. So we need to do that to our husbands. So, you know, you've got these strong soldiers here, you know, say, oh, look at those muscles. Woo, what a man I am. Oh, am I lucky to get to sleep with you tonight? You know? And so, you know, just changing my attitude made all the difference in the world. And you know what I found that too? That as life goes on, sometimes I come up with some other expectations I have to give to God. It just happened last week. But anyway, I hope that this was the one thing that really changed our marriage and turned it around. And I do believe that a wife in a marriage can change and make a difference. A wife and God in a marriage can change and make a difference.